Hi everyone, welcome to another Pilates. Watch the video first if you haven't already, or if you haven't done a class with us. Obviously if you've got any injuries, anything like that, then please be wary of them, but watch that video first and we'll get straight to it. We're going to do our setup. We're going to have our feet together, we're going to turn our toes out, and we're going to take our heels out to join them too. So just glance down, check that your feet are roughly underneath your hips. And you want to think about anchoring down in your big toe, your little toe and your heel. So equally distributing your weight to the whole of the foot. Coming up to our knees, we're going to have those nice and spongy. So maybe just give those a little bit of a wiggle. Coming up to our hips, I want you to imagine you've got two little headlights on the front of the hip bones there. They're going to be facing forward and they're going to be level. So it stops us hiking the hips from side to side. We're going to keep those nice and straight. Inside the pelvis, we're going to imagine we've got that bucket of water. It's really nice and full. Again, so we're not tilting the pelvis forward or backwards. We're not spilling any of that water. We're keeping that in that mid position. You may just need to tuck the pelvis under slightly. So just tuck the tailbone up to our midsection. I want you to think about a little bit of pressure in the belly button. So you're pulling that back towards the spine slightly, roughly about 30%. Now up to our ribs. We're going to think about knitting the ribs down in towards our pelvis. So we've got this whole section working all together. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, we're going to pick our shoulders up towards our ears. We're going to push them back and we're going to breathe out through our mouth. Fantastic. So in through the nose, picking the shoulders up, pushing them back, breathing out through the mouth. If you want to close your eyes while you do this, you can. I'm just going to make that movement slightly bigger each time. So really think about squeezing the shoulders up towards the ears. So we're just relaxing the body, preparing ourselves. Into the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to do one more. Make it a good one. All the way back. Fantastic. We're going to do our lateral flexion next. So imagine you've got a piece of glass in front and behind you. We're going to lengthen up through our spine. So we're pulling the crown of our head up towards the ceiling. And then we're just going to slide in between those two panes of glass. Now I want you to think about the headlights you have on your hips. They're still facing forward. And they're not really moving. So all the movement's coming from the upper part of the body. Think about equally grounding down the feet as well. So we're not transferring the weight from foot to foot too much. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing back out through your mouth. I'm going to go one more each side. I'm going to finish back in the centre. We're going to do our spinal rotation. So we're just going to place the hands lightly on the arms, roughly elbows, forearms, wherever you can kind of reach. We're going to lengthen back up again. We're going to keep our hips nice and forward still, so the headlights are on. We're breathing in through our nose. On the out breath, we're just going to twist. So we're just rotating this upper part of the body around the lower part. So just take the head round as well. If you want to take it a little bit further and get that next stretch in, you can. We're still lengthening up through the spine, so we're still growing that little bit taller each time. And again, we're keeping those hips forward. So we're not twisting around on the legs. We're keeping the lower part of the body nice and stable. In through the nose. Back out through the mouth. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. Bring that back into the middle. And then we're just going to float our arms down towards our sides. We're going to do our roll downs next. So make sure you have a little bit of room in front of you. Set yourself up, make sure your feet are where they're supposed to be. Keeping that belly button pulled in. We're going to breathe in through our nose, pick our shoulders up. Breathe out through the mouth, push the shoulders down the back. Fantastic. So we're going to breathe in through our nose. On the out breath, we're going to tuck the chin in. We're going to roll the shoulders down. We're going to take the arms down, roughly to about our knees. We're then going to breathe in when we get here. And then we're going to breathe out and slowly roll that back up again. Vertebrae by vertebrae, stacking them back up, one on top of the other. Finishing with our shoulders and our head. We're going to breathe in and we're going to breathe out and we're going to repeat. So tucking that chin in, rolling the shoulders over. Trying to relax the arms, relax the head. Keeping the belly button pulled in. We're going to put a bend in the knees as well. So you may just need to put a little bit more of a bend than you already have. You don't want to be overstretching the hamstrings. Breathing in to prepare. Breathing out on the movement. And then breathing back in at the bottom. Breathing out to come back up. See if you can take it a little bit further next time. Keeping the bend in the knees. We're going to do one more and we're going to finish down. Take your time, keep the movement controlled. Rolling that down vertebrae by vertebrae. Putting a bigger bend in the knees. And then we're just going to dangle. So if you want to place each hand on each elbow, you can. In kind of a ragdoll position. Relax the arms, relax the head. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing back out through the mouth. When you're ready, we're going to come down onto all fours. So we're going to have our knees underneath our hips and our wrists underneath our shoulders. We're doing our swimming on all fours. So we're going to take a deep breath in. On our out breath, we're going to extend our right arm out, roughly about 30 centimeter ruler width. Bringing that back down. And the opposite hand. So just extending that out in front of you. Bringing that back in, keeping the shoulders stable and level. We're then going to do our legs. So breathing in through our nose, breathing out through our mouth, extending the leg out, bringing that back in. And the opposite side. So we're keeping the belly button pulled in, tracing the toe along the floor, and we're bringing that back in. Now if you want to continue arm, foot, you can. We're just taking that one at a time. We're keeping the movement nice and controlled. If you want to increase, you can take the opposite arm and opposite leg out at the same time. So make sure that you're extending them and bringing them back in exactly the same pace. Maybe try counting, so maybe to about 3 or 4 to keep that movement controlled. Keeping the belly button pulled in. We're tucking the tailbone under slightly too as well. So we've got that lovely flat back. We're pushing through the wrists to keep the shoulders engaged. And we're not dropping through the shoulders either. So if you find that as you extend the arm out, you're dropping that shoulder, just bring the arm back in slightly. It's not about how far we can reach. This is really a core exercise. It's not about flexibility. It's not about how high we can lift the leg or arm. We're keeping them on the floor. So we're tracing that line forwards and backwards. Make the movement even slower if you want to challenge yourself. So count to about 5 or 6. As you're doing that, you're keeping the torso very still. So shoulders are level, belly button's pulled in. Imagine you've got a tray balanced on your back. And try not to drop the contents of that tray. If it becomes too much going opposite sides, you can just come back to the arm, foot. Keep the breath in to prepare out on the movement. Extending the leg, straightening the leg. We're going to go one more each side. I'm going to bring that back in. And we're going to slowly lower ourselves down to the floor for our swan dive. So just let the heels rotate in. We're going to have our hands in a W position. The hands are going to be roughly in line with the head. The elbows are going to be pointing back down towards the feet. We're going to be face down. I want you to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to peel the head up off the floor. Then the throat down the rib cage to the bottom of the ribs. Squeezing the shoulder blades, breathing in here. And then breathing out and lowering that back down. Keeping the movement slow and controlled. So breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, peeling the head. Slowly all the way down to the bottom of the rib cage, squeezing the shoulder blades. And then slowly placing that back down. It's not all in one movement. We're peeling slowly from the head down to the bottom of the ribs. And then we're slowly placing that back down. If you want to increase the movement as you come up, you can just float the hands up off the floor and just squeeze the elbows back slightly. And place that back down. If that's too much, you can still place the hands on the floor, but try not to put any pressure in the hands. We're really trying to work the upper back. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades together. We're using the muscles in the back of our body to lift ourselves up. Breathing in at the bottom. Breathing out on the way up. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. We're going to do 2 more. So take your time, work with your breath. Think about the muscles that you're using. Once you've done your 2, we're going to push back into our child's pose. Place the feet together, spread the knees, sit the bum back, and just extend the arms further forward. And just place the forehead on the floor if that's comfortable for you. And take some deep breaths here. Okay, we're going to pick up our right arm and we're going to thread that underneath our left armpit. I'm going to place the side of the head on the floor for our thread the needle stretch. Breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. We're going to unthread this side. I'm going to pick up our opposite arm and we're going to thread that underneath the opposite armpit, placing the side of the head on the floor. Stretching the back of the body. Okay, slowly going to unthread this. I'm going to come back up into a kneeling position. Then we're going to take ourselves over, we're going to do our reverse plank. So if you need something to put under your wrist, maybe a cushion or something, if it's more comfortable for you, then please grab that. I'm going to give you a couple of options today. So the easiest option for our reverse plank is to have our knees bent up and our feet flat. We're going to place the hands just behind the hips. We're going to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to push through our wrists, push through our shoulders, and we're going to bring the hips up. So we're kind of in like a reverse tabletop position. So we're squeezing the glutes, we're pushing through the feet, we're engaging the back of the body. We're breathing in And then we're breathing out and we're slowly lowering that back down again. And next option is to have our legs out straight. Again, we're going to place the hands just behind us. Now it's up to you where you have your hands. You can have your fingers back, you can have your fingers towards you, or you can have them out of the side. Depends on whatever's comfortable for you. So taking a deep breath in, on the out breath, we're going to push through the wrist, push through the feet, squeeze the glutes. And we're going to come up into that reverse plank position. So you want to aim to get the hips in line with the ribs and the knees and the shoulders and the feet. So you've got that nice line there. Breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth, lowering that back down again. Fantastic. We're going to do 2 more. On our next 2, if you want, we can lift our legs. So once we've pushed up into that reverse plank position, we're going to lift the one leg up, place that back down. When we do the second one, we're going to lift the other leg and place that back down. If you want to go back to either of the other options, that's absolutely fine. We're going to take a deep breath in though. On the out breath, we're going to push to the wrist, push the hips up into the air. Fantastic. We're then going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to lift the one leg, place that back down. Breathing in, breathing out, lowering that back down again. I'm going to do the opposite side. So take a breath, breathing in, on the out breath, push to the wrists, push the hips. We're then going to take another breath, and we're going to lift the opposite leg, place that down. Breathing in, and breathing out, lowering that back down. Fantastic. If you need to give the wrists a bit of a wiggle, you can. That can be quite difficult for that. And we're going to do our roll downs. So as we're in a seated position, we're going to have our feet flat on the floor. Our knees are going to be bent up towards the ceiling. We're going to lengthen up to the spine, place the hands lightly on the legs, breathing in through your nose, breathing out. We're going to rock back off the pelvis, pull the belly button in, C-curve the spine, and slowly lower that down towards the floor. Vertebrae by vertebrae, roughly down to the bottom of the shoulder blades. Breathing in here, and then breathing out and curling that back up again. Stacking the spine at the top. Fantastic. So breathing in, breathing out, rocking off the pelvis, keeping the belly button pulled in. Lowering that down. Maybe slightly further this time. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out. Curling that back up again. If you want to increase, we'll take the arms off. Not literally off, that'll be a bit weird. Take the hands off the thighs. Pull the belly in. Slowly lower that back down. Take the arms all the way overhead. And then slowly control them back up. So we're not using the arms to throw ourselves back up. We're keeping the whole movement the same tempo. So try counting as you're moving. And you want to take the same amount of time rolling down as you do, rolling back up again. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can lift the arms slightly higher above the head. Working with your breath. You're going to do 2 more. So just come back to whatever level you need. On the second one, we're going to finish down. So take your time all the way down to the floor. Fantastic. I'm then going to roll over onto our side and we're going to do our side plank. So we're going to take our elbow roughly underneath our shoulder. We're going to pull it in towards us as well. So make sure you pull it kind of in towards that waist. We don't want it out here because we can end up causing shoulder injury. So keep that pulled in nice and tight. Help engage the lats underneath here. We're going to have the knees bent and we're going to have the feet back too. Now I want you to think about keeping the hips stacked level. So you may just kind of need to use your hand just to move them around where they need to be. The shoulders are going to be stacked on top of each other as well. And that bottom rib is going to be pulled up. So I don't want to see any of this lounging around. I know it's the lockdown still, but do a little bit of work. We'll pull that rib up. We're keeping the side engaged. So we're going to take a deep breath. On the out breath, we're going to push through our knees, we're going to push through our elbow, and we're going to lift that hip up towards the ceiling. So really think about pulling the midsection up. So kind of like you've got a rope around your middle and it's pulling you up towards the ceiling. We're going to extend our arm up. Now you can cast the gaze up or you can have it down towards the floor. It's completely up to you. We're going to take a deep breath in here. On our out breath, we're going to twist that hand underneath. So we're going to thread our needle under, bring that back up. We're going to do it 3 times. Every time we come back up to the top, we're going to think about resetting. So we're pulling that rib back up towards the ceiling. We're making sure we've got that nice space underneath us. Once we've done our 3, we're going to finish back up. We're going to take a breath here, pulling those ribs up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to place that back down. Fantastic. We're going to take a minute and we're going to go the opposite side. So set yourself up, bring the elbow underneath you, make sure it's pulled in. We've got that lat engaged. Hips are nicely stacked on top of each other, knees are bent, feet are back, shoulders are stacked too. Pull that bottom rib up, so keep that engagement there. You can kind of imagine there's like a little fire maybe underneath you. So you've just got a little fire burning there, a little flame emoji, and it's pulling you up towards and it's stopping you getting burnt. We're going to breathe in. On the out breath, we're going to push through our knees and our arm. And we're going to bring that up. So keeping the shoulders stacked, pulling that bottom rib up towards the ceiling, keeping the pelvis nice and level too. Again, your gaze can be up or it can be down. We're going to take a deep breath in here. On the out breath, we're going to start threading that arm underneath. So again, we're going to do 3 each side. Now we've done 3 the first side. We're going to do 3. I didn't need to say any more then. Pulling the ribs up towards the ceiling each time. Working with your breath. Stacking everything back on top. Once you've done your 3, we're going to bring that arm up. We're going to reset that. So we're pulling that rib up towards the ceiling. We're keeping the hips stacked. Taking a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to bring that back down to the floor. Fantastic. We're going to roll back over to do our glute bridge. So take a minute. We're going to bring our feet in towards our butt. We're going to have our knees facing up towards the ceiling as well. Now, if you do have a yoga block or anything like that, you can place that between your knees or even a water bottle or a cushion just to kind of make sure that you are keeping your knees where they need to be. We're going to pin our shoulder blades into the floor and we're going to place our hands just lightly either side on the floor. We're going to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to push through our feet and we're going to squeeze our glutes and we're slowly going to peel the pelvis up off the floor all the way until we're in that nice ski slope position. Breathing in here and then breathing out and slowly placing each vertebrae back on the floor. One by one, all the way to the bottom. Fantastic. So breathing in, breathing out, pushing through your heels, squeezing the glutes, pulling that belly button in. So we're kind of imagining we're shrink wrapping that core. It's getting smaller each time. We're breathing in at the top and then we're breathing out and we're lowering that back down. I want you to make sure your chin is tucked slightly as well. So you need to be able to see more ceiling in front of you than behind. Breathing in at the top. Breathing out on the way down. So I want you to work with your breaths. If you need to do them a little bit quicker or a little bit slower, please do. Don't make them too quick. It's not a hip thrust. The slower the better, and you'll find that the slower you do take it, the more your body will will compensate. And you might find that your legs will shake. That's completely normal. You will get used to it and your body will overcome. Really important to keep the bum squeezed the whole time. Pushing through the feet. Think about pulling up on the inside of the thighs as well. So make sure the knees haven't got walkabouts. They're still pointing straight up towards the ceiling. You may just need to wiggle the shoulders away from the ears as well. They do like to be friends. But we're not allowing that right now. Keeping the movement slow and controlled. You're peeling the spine up off the floor. Imagining it's like Velcro. Breathing in to prepare. Breathing out on the movement. We're going to do 2 more. Keep them nice and slow and controlled. Maybe see if you can do them even slower. So just challenge yourself today. See how slow you can make that movement. Pushing through the heels. Keeping that midsection nice and tight. Once you've done your 2, you're going to do a nice little glute stretch just to help. So we're going to pick up our right leg. We're going to place the foot across the left thigh. And then going to push the knee away. If you want to stay here, you can. If you want to increase, we're going to pick the left foot up off the floor and just take the hands behind that thigh. Pull that leg in. Okay, place it on the floor. We're going to the opposite side. So pick the leg up, place the foot across the thigh, push the knee away. You want to increase, pick the foot up off the floor, take the hands behind. Place the feet back down on the floor. I'm going to do one final core exercise. We're going to do something a bit different today. So we're going to do crunch twists, which are kind of like bicycles, oblique twists, but keeping the movement really nice and slow. So I want you to think about keeping the belly button pulled down. So we're getting rid of that gap that's underneath the lower part of the back. You might need to tuck the pelvis under slightly as well. So just tilt that up slightly. Make sure everything is on the floor. We're going to place our hands roughly by our head. So you can either place them behind your head or by your temples, wherever's comfortable. And we're slowly going to crunch the top of that body up. So we're just bending kind of at the ribs. So we're just crunching this little bit here. We're not coming into a full sit up. We're then going to twist and we're going to aim our shoulder to our knee. So we're not going for the elbow. We're trying to bring the shoulder towards that knee. We're then going to bring that back to the front and we're going to take that down and we're going to go the opposite side. So breathing in, breathing out, we're crunching that up. We're then going to twist, taking that shoulder towards the knee, bring that back and then slowly lower that back down. Fantastic. So we're going to do this a few more times. We're breathing in to prepare. We're breathing out on that movement. We're keeping it really nice and slow and controlled. And making sure that the lower back is still into the floor. Twisting that, slowly bringing that back, peeling that back down again. So you're aiming to get the shoulder across to the knee as opposed to the elbow. Working with your breath. We're going to go one more each side. Placing that back down when you're done. Fantastic. So you take a couple of breaths. I'm going to do our spinal twists. So I want you to take your right leg across your left leg. Take your arms out to the side and then let the knees drop towards the left hand side. And just take a couple of breaths here. You should feel a nice stretch in the midsection, down the back, into the glutes, into the side of the legs. If you want to take the head the opposite way as well, get a nice little extra neck stretch in there, you can. Okay, bring that back into the centre. I'm going to uncross the legs and do the opposite side. So cross that left leg over the right. Let the knees drop towards the right hand side. Again, if you want to take the head in the opposite direction, just get that neck stretch. Okay, bring the knees back into the centre and cross the legs. And roll over onto your side. Just take a minute, making your way up into a comfortable seated position. Just take a couple of breaths here. Bring your awareness back into the room, back into your body. And thank you very much for joining me today, this evening. Whenever you're watching the class, it's evening currently while we're filming. If you do have any questions, any comments, drop them in the comments below. Drop us a message on any of our socials. And we'll hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.